are here to witness the historic signing ceremony of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party Code of Ethics.
To thank you for the work of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party that have over the years inspired and encouraged men and women to come forward to serve their people and their communities. We want to thank you for those who are now seeking public office in our parliament through this party, and we thank you for their commitment to want to do so along very strong ethical guidelines. We want to ask you, Lord, to bless and strengthen them, that they may indeed adhere to those guidelines that they sign off on today. And we want to pray for our parliament, that all men and women who seek to be part of that parliament, they would allow themselves through their own parties and their own personal commitment to be guided by the highest standard of ethical principles and operations. And so we want to invoke and invite your presence on this afternoon's signing. We ask you to come, Lord, and be in the midst of it, all who are involved in any way. Bless and inspire them and guide and direct all those who would sign on, that they would understand and they would accept and adhere to what they have signed to, so that going forward, in all their operations and actions, they would adhere to the highest principles of ethical standards and behavior. So bless the proceedings now, and let it be a blessing on their whole life going forward as they are seeking public office in our federation. And all these mercies we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
The Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, political leader of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and leader of Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition of Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Marcella Liburd, Member of Parliament for St. Christopher II and Deputy Political Leader of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Honourable Conris Maynard, Member of Parliament for St. Christopher III, former elected officials, candidates of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, members of the National Executive of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, members of the Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union, specially invited guests, members of the media, citizens, residents, viewing and listening audience, ladies and gentlemen, youth, a pleasant good afternoon to all. I stand before you humbled, but with a sense of pride, both as a citizen of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and a member of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party on this momentous occasion in the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party's history. We are here to witness a very important ceremony, that of the formal and official signing ceremony of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party's Code of Ethical Conduct. This afternoon's proceedings signals a renewed commitment by the leadership of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and to the members of our great party, our beloved comrades, who have lent your support and stood in solidarity with us from generation to generation. The Kitts-Nevis Labour Party in 2018 carries in our bones the 86-year legacy that has been passed on to us by virtue of the tremendous sacrifice that has been borne by our forebears. I believe that today, Bradshaw, Southwell, Manchester, France, and the many others who have stood up for the rights, liberties, and social and economic upliftment of our people would be very, very proud of us. This afternoon, with the signing of this Code of Ethical Conduct, the leadership of the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party has recognized that it is time for us to reaffirm the old values on which our success has been garnered since our party was established in 1932, and to solidify our commitment to the core principles for which we have traditionally stood. The principles of people-centeredness, selflessness, integrity, honesty, accountability, openness, honor, and servant leadership have now been enshrined in the Code of Ethical Conduct for all posterity, and from today forward, all executive members of the National Executive of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party will be honor-bound to adhere to its provisions and inducements. With this symbolic event, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party has signaled that it is serious about good governance, it is serious about democracy, and it is very serious about responsible servant leadership that would earn the respect, confidence, and trust of our members and the people we serve. It is for this reason that we have decided to share this moment with you, our members, supporters, and friends, as well as the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, those present here today, and those who are tuning in from around the world. The future direction of our country depends on all of us, and today we pledge to work together to usher in a new era of responsibility and respect for the standards of good governance and tenets of democracy upon which our nation was founded. So, on behalf of the diverse membership and the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, I welcome you and thank you for being present to share our great pride in this, our beloved Labour Party. My name is Nareesh Shiverton, and I will be your chairperson for this afternoon's ceremony. My task today is simple, which is to welcome you, which I have already done, and guide you through the program that we have prepared for you. I thank you. As we continue with the program, I now call on Dr. Terence Drew, Chairman of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Dr. Drew has been very supportive of this process and has consistently lent of his resources and time to see this project through to fruition. Please help me welcome Dr. Terence Drew.
First, let me acknowledge the leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, Deputy Leader of our party, the Honourable Marcella Liebert, Parliamentary Representative for Constituency Number 3, the Honourable Conwis Maynard. And also let me recognize the other candidates for the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party who are here with us today. Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, Constituency Number 1, Mr. Steve Rensford, Constituency Number 4, and Mr. Kenneth Douglas, Constituency Number 5, and our very good friend, Mr. Leon Natter. Welcome all. A very good afternoon to all of you who have joined us today to be a witness to history in the making. Today, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and its National Executive Committee in particular will be agreeing to the adoption of a code of ethical conduct that would guide the conduct of our candidates and members. The signing of this code of ethical conduct, our candidates who represent the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party agree to honor the provisions outlined in the code and to conduct ourselves accordingly with immediate effect. Today, we commit to you, our members, and the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis that this code of ethical conduct that will be signed today is a critical step forward in ensuring the highest standards of conduct and good governance within our party. Today's ceremony is the result of a lot of internal deliberation, public consultation, and hard work. I would like to thank once again the members of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party's Code of Ethics Committee and its chairperson, our chairperson for this afternoon's event, Ms. Shiverton. We are very pleased that the committee has met all its objectives, which were to, 1, deliver a draft code that would enhance public trust and confidence in our party, establish clear principles, guidelines, and rules for executive members to follow, provide a positive, firm inducement for executive members to be aware of our legal and ethical obligations and behave appropriately. And 2, number 4, encourage the executive members to abide by the ethical standards and principles enshrined in the party's motto, for the good that we can do. The document that is before us is a powerful document that is full of significance. It is firmly rooted in principles and tenets that were established by our party's founding fathers, such as Manchester, Matthew Sebastian, Bradshaw, Southwell, France, lest we forget. It is powered by all the expectations and aspirations that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have in their leaders. It will ensure that our duties and obligations to you, the people, are always kept in focus, front and center, and that we conduct ourselves in a manner deserving of your full confidence and trust as we prepare to occupy the seat of government. This is a solemn occasion because it demonstrates the seriousness by which all our nation's leaders should take their decision to run for elected office and participate in the political process. Leadership is a most serious and solemn occupation. Some of us tend to forget that winning an election is only the beginning, not the end. After we win, we must govern. Our success as leaders is not measured by how much money we amass for ourselves, our families, or how much power we have over people. Our success as leaders is measured by the extent to which the people we serve are successful. The number of leaders we create, not the number of followers. And whether or not we are able to inspire others to do better and to be better than us. There are some present-day politicians who have completely missed the point to leadership. It is all about you, the people, not ourselves or our families and friends. This is also a moment of great celebration. Today we celebrate the great 86-year legacy that has been passed down to us. With the signing of this code of ethics, we can look to the future with renewed hope and sense of purpose. This afternoon, we send a strong signal that will resonate throughout St. Kitts and Nevis, the region, and to our citizens throughout the world, that the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party is stronger, better than ever, and ready to serve you. Today we are here to let the people know that we have heard your criticisms and concerns about today's politics, and we have responded. We have responded. This is cause for celebration. The St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party is fully committed to good governance that is concerned with the principles of responsiveness, consensus, inclusion, participation, accountability, and transparency. This code of ethical conduct signifies our recognition that in order to properly and effectively govern in a principled way, we must first produce principled servant politicians. There's a saying that goes that ethics is a sickle, separating the correct from the corrupt. This code of ethical conduct is our attempt to put our house in order and to ensure that none of our leaders are ever weighed in the balance and found wanting. Citizens, ladies and gentlemen, our Code of Ethical Conduct is a solid document that is not just an aspirational agreement on best endeavors. It will also be enforceable with the coming into force of our National Disciplinary Committee to ensure that we abide by the tenets in the document. Therefore, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party would like to make it absolutely clear to our members and to the public that we are serious about leadership. We are serious about good governance, and we are serious about democracy. Thank you for participating in this event with us. The Code of Ethical Conduct will be made accessible to any member of the public, and I'm sure that the press would have already received a copy, as the members of the press with copies. I want to thank you for your incredible interest that you have shown, and thank you for joining us in our quest to move our party and ultimately our country, our region, and our world forward. Thank you very much for listening.
We will now have the cultural item, which is a poem that will be delivered by our queen, the fabulous Miss Ovalyn White, the reigning Miss Labour Queen.
Good afternoon. Two roads diverge in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller long as I stood and looked down as far as I could. To where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as far that the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how ways lead to on to where I doubt if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverge in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I thank you.
I would like to thank Ms. White for that poem, The Road Less Traveled by Mr. Robert Frost. And today, I think, given the present political environment, we can say that we as a party are definitely taking the road less traveled. I now call on the man of the hour, the man under whose directive this process was initiated, the man whose leadership has inspired and cultivated a new generation of young leaders within the Labour Party. I call on the political leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and the leader of Her Majesty's loyal opposition, the right, the Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas.
Thank you, Ms. Shiverton. Give her a round of applause again for the hard work that she herself has committed to this particular exercise. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. It is my pleasure and delight to be here with you today to participate in and witness this historic occasion, that is the signing of the Code of Ethical Conduct by the members of Parliament of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and the candidates of this same party who will be facing the general elections sometime, it would appear, next year. I would like to thank all of the specially invited guests who have taken the time out of your busy schedules to join us here this afternoon in beautiful Bastia. I would also like to thank all of you at home and abroad who are listening by radio on Freedom FM to witness this milestone in the body politic of St. Kitts and Nevis. This signing ceremony that is taking place today is really an event of monumental significance. As our party chairman, Dr. Drew, has already indicated, the Code of Ethical Conduct that the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party will be signing in a few moments this afternoon establishes a set of rules in relation to how we, both collectively as an organization, as well as individuals, will participate in the political process and engage with the people whom we are seeking to serve. This occasion, therefore, is symbolic in three ways. Firstly, it is an acknowledgement that as the eldest and the strongest political party in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, it is important for us to lead by example. When we speak of principles such as integrity, objectivity, selflessness, accountability, honesty, openness, honor, and respect, that we mean what we say, and we say what we truly mean. Today's proceedings represent our genuine commitment to exhibit these principles in our daily behavior as leaders, and to actively and robustly promote, support, and defend them in the governance of our beloved Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis. Secondly, this ceremony is an acknowledgement that before we can ask you and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to repose your trust and your faith in us to lead, we must first show ourselves trustworthy, that before we can govern, we must first be able to govern our own affairs with the highest of integrity. This activity today, it represents the recognition that in an ever-changing social and political climate where there is so much that is beyond our control, we cannot take the morality of our leaders for granted. Our leaders, I remind us, they are human beings too. And we cannot simply take for granted that when called upon to lead, that they will do so with wisdom, with truth, with temperance, with humility, with honesty, and with justice. The time has come for us to establish standards that are based on the highest ideals to which we must hold ourselves accountable and will be honor-bound to adhere. Thirdly, this event represents a pact that the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party is making with you, the people of our beloved Federation, and our membership to be the change that we seek. This, I remind us very strongly, is not just some kind of gimmick that is designed to score cheap political points. No, not at all. With the signing of this Code of Ethical Conduct, we are saying in no uncertain terms that we have listened to your concerns and, of course, our citizens' concerns. We have listened to your criticisms and, of course, the criticisms of our citizens and residents. And we are very, very serious about implementing the changes that will help us to serve you, our people, better. It is all about you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, as we seek to provide next generation leadership at the highest level in this, our fair land. When we look around our federation today, we are very dismayed and concerned about the levels of corruption, about the conflict of interest, about the victimization and the nepotism and cronyism that have become the hallmarks of the present administration led by Dr. Timothy Harris. The conduct of this Tim Harris administration is causing our people to have a complete lack of transparency, accountability, and rule of law in our justice, financial, and public administration systems. The Team Unity Coalition ran on a campaign that promised to bring change, but the only change that they have really brought is a change for the worse since their election to office in 2015. The promise to strengthen democracy and good governance. But fast forward to 4 years later, they have brought the worst onslaught on democracy that this country has ever seen. Just look at how and look at what is going on around us today. Look at how Harris has turned the Hurricane Relief Fund into his personal slush fund. The fund was opened and has now been closed with no oversight whatsoever. And only this week in a radio program, we heard from one of his ministers that the fund has been closed because, according to the Prime Minister, he said, there is corruption in the fund. There is no audited accounting of the hundreds of millions of US dollars that were earned. And it has been estimated now to be close to $1 billion EC dollars. Look at how Dr. Timothy Harris has cheapened the CBI program and is selling our sacred citizenship like sugar cakes from the vendor's market, from the vendor's tray on the international market. Look at how this government is hiding the IMF report and the audited financial statements from Social Security and the Development Bank, so that the people of this country have no clue as to what is really happening in our economy or our own critical financial institutions. Harris has brought in his own auditor and accountant into Social Security. He has made his brother the chief executive officer of the bank, when in fact his brother was on suspension for questionable activities with the bank funds and was in fact asked by the Financial Service Regulatory Commission to answer certain questions which today have been unanswered. Look at how this same chief executive officer would have had his salary doubled, increased by 100% to $30,000 per month, when no other officer or manager in that same bank would have had one penny of increase on his own salary. And to make it worse, it is the chairman of the Development Bank, who is the chairman of the PLP political party of Dr. Harris, that authorized this increase in salary. And that is why we say something has to be wrong. It is the same development bank whose accountant just recently packed up and left without any explanation being given to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, when it is the people's money that is really in the bank and which is governing the activities of the bank. Look at how Team Unity has rendered the Public Accounts Committee completely toothless so that they can use the people's money as their own personal bank account without any proper parliamentary oversight. Look at how the Prime Minister's sisters, one a magistrate, the other the chief registrar and magistrate as well, are running our High Court as if they own it and are using the justice system to carry out his personal vendetta against our people, where innocent people have been arrested on trivial matters that normally would never ever have arrest been made. Our country really has started off down a very slippery slope towards genuine dictatorship, and the steady erosion of democracy is a threat to the freedom of every citizen of this, our beautiful country. Today, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, it pledges again to protect and defend the principles and the standards of good governance, to defend and protect the rule of law, transparency, accountability, honesty and integrity upon which our great nation was founded by our founding fathers. The blood, I remind us, the sweat and the tears that were shed by our ancestors through hard and genuine struggle require it. The life prospects of our future generations, yet unborn, they demand it. On these matters of principle and ethics, we in the Labour Party will stand like a rock, upright and immovable. Ethical conduct is the foundation stone of leadership. Alternatively, politics without principle is the biggest threat to the peace and security of our people. Today, we demonstrate yet again to you, our people, that we are not just paying lip service to these principles like our counterparts in Team Unity. This event, it signals our solemn commitment to put our own house in order and to self-regulate by enforcing strict adherence, the strictest of adherence to the provisions enshrined in our code of ethical conduct. This is our letter of commitment to you, our people of St. Kitts and Nevis. With this, we demonstrate that leadership matters. Leadership truly matters. We know and understand that the character of our leaders can determine the ultimate destiny of this, our proud and progressive nation, with grave implications for citizens and for our residents. In the face of rampant corruption, victimization, and lawlessness that is currently taking place in our society, there are many of us who are choosing to look the other way and to remain silent. But today, I want to remind us in the words of our great Martin Luther King, and I quote, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, or whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly, end of quote. The St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, which commands the confidence of the majority of the people of this proud country, pledges to continue to stand up and to speak out against these grievous injustices, and to be a voice for our voiceless here in our country. We pledge that the new Labour administration, a new Labour government, would act swiftly to implement a suite of legislation in order to bolster our democracy and to improve transparency to protect our people from this tyranny. We are not waiting, however, until the next election to begin these changes. Today, with the signing of this code of ethical conduct, we begin with ourselves. Today, we will set the example and standard for others to follow. And so, may God bless the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. May God bless the people of this, our fair federation. Long live our party. Long live the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think that was deserving of another round of applause. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Sir Edmund Lawrence, former Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that we have all been waiting for. We will now begin with the signing ceremony, and I would like to ask our political leader to take the seat at the table to append his signature to the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party's Code of Ethics. Next will be the Honorable Marcella Liebert, Deputy Leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and Representative for St. Christopher No. 2. We will now have the Honorable Conwys Maynard, Member of Parliament for St. Christopher 3. Next, we will have the party chairman and caretaker candidate for St. Christopher 8, Dr. Terence Drew, who will now sit at the table. I call on Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, caretaker candidate for St. Christopher 1. Next, we will have Mr. Steve Rensford, caretaker candidate for St. Christopher 4. And last, but certainly not least, we will now have Mr. Kenneth Douglas, our latest addition to our dynamic team. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to stand with me and give a resounding round of applause to the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party as we mark this historic moment. The Code of Ethical Conduct of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party has now been officially adopted.
Your Excellency, leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, members of the National Executive of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in raising a toast to the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. My toast this afternoon will be based on Psalm 72, verses 1 to 4, and also 12 to 14, which is known as the prayer for guidance for the ruler. Please raise your glasses. Please raise your glasses. May God give the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party his justice and his righteousness to its successors. May we govern the people of St. Kitts and Nevis with righteousness, and our poor with justice. May the mountains yield prosperity for the people, and the hills in righteousness. May we defend the cause of the poor of the people, give deliverance to the needy, and crush the oppressor. Help us to deliver the needy when they call, the poor and those who have no helper. Help us to always have pity on the weak and the needy, and to save the lives of the needy. Help us to redeem their lives from oppression and violence, and may the lives of the poor and needy always be precious in our sight. Once again, the Labour Party continues to lead and chart new waters. We are always at the forefront of our nation's progressive development. So, to new directions, longevity, and servant leadership, long live the Labour Party. Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Long live.
You may now take your seats. As we have now come to the end of our program, I call on the Honorable Marcella Liebert, Deputy Leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, to deliver closing remarks.
It's always easy to say you adopt the protocol, but I would like to acknowledge our party leader, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, all of our candidates, Chairman Dr. Terence Joe, the Honourable Conris Maynard, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, of course, Mr. Ransford, and Mr. Kenny Douglas, and our dear friend, Mr. Leon Nato. I would also like to recognize members of the clergy, former Governor General Sir Edmund Lawrence, and all of the members of the executive of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union, and the other members of our party who are here present, and the general public in particular, and our dear friend, Mrs. Hazel Ross Robinson, and of course, I cannot leave out our queen, Miss Overlyn White of Central Bastille. The St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, since February 2015, has done much soul searching and have embarked on a path of reform to address gaps in our party structure and to ensure greater accountability and transparency and good governance. 4 significant steps that we have taken as a party to do this include: 1, reviewing and amending our party's constitution; 2, reorganization of our branches; 3, reform of the candidate selection process as a means of improving transparency; and 4thly, the establishment of a Code of Ethics Committee with a view towards implementing a code of ethics by which all candidates and executive members will be governed. And so here we are today, witnessing the fulfillment of one of the major reforms to our party's constitution and to the party as a whole. So, as we have come to the end of this brief but significantly important ceremony in which all declared candidates of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party have signed a contract of good governance with the members of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party and with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This contract establishes clear principles and values for us to follow as leaders and as a party. This contract will also ensure that we treat each other and the public with utmost respect and dignity. It outlaws any practice that would promote any form of discrimination, victimization, or harassment, or which may disrespect the rights, dignity, and legitimate democratic interests of any citizen or voter. It will foster, as far as possible, the peaceful resolution of any internal disputes or interpersonal conflicts, and will promote a positive, healthy image of our party. It will ensure that we as leaders and future ministers remain in full compliance with our national laws and regulations regarding campaign financing and public disclosure, among other important provisions. Charity begins at home, and we in the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party are not just talking, but taking positive and significant action to show how serious we are about good governance within our own party and within our country. By contrast, the Timothy Harris-led regime, since occupying Church Street in February of 2015, has launched a full-scale assault on democracy in St. Kitts and Nevis. Freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of the press are all under severe attack. There is no regard for good governance, integrity, or the rule of law. This government has clearly abrogated its responsibility to the people and has subordinated itself to the caprices of one man with one seat in the federal parliament. Prime Minister Harris has been permitted to run rampage in this country with impunity. His main mission since acquiring office has been to wield the levers of power afforded to him through the authority of the state in order to enrich himself, his family, and his friends. As a result, the people of this country are being ill-served, and our laws and democratic norms are being trampled upon. You cannot be serious about good governance if your own house is in disorder. You cannot be serious about good governance when contracts that were once approved by Public Works are now coming out of the office of the Prime Minister. You cannot be serious about good governance when public officers are being appointed to posts that have not been advertised as required by law. You cannot be serious about good governance when boards of statutory bodies and other institutions, under the instructions of ministers of government, are doing the day-to-day running of those bodies and institutions, undermining the managers and other persons who are qualified to do the job. We cannot be serious about good governance when there is little or no separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary, namely in the magistracy and the High Court registry. We cannot be serious about good governance when the rights of public servants are being trampled by the Attorney General, who is to protect those rights. We cannot be serious about good governance when our electoral laws are being breached and persons are being denied the right to vote without due process. We cannot be serious about good governance when the Minister of National Security has politicized the police force to carry out his political agenda, including the arrest of prospective opponents, instead of focusing on fighting crime. In the foregoing context, this step taken by our party today is all the more important, and I am truly extremely proud to be a part of it. This party has always led and will lead on the issue of good governance. We have gotten to this point after many months of hard work, for which we have many to thank. And I want to begin by thanking those who participated in the ceremony today, which includes Archdeacon Isaiah Philip. I want to thank him for his invocation and his usual words of good advice. I want to thank Dr. Terence Jude, our chairman, for his remarks, Ms. Overlyn White, Ms. Labour 2018, for her poem. I want to thank the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas for his feature address, the Honourable Conris Maynard for the ceremonial toast, and of course, Ms. Narish Shiverton for so ably chairing today's ceremony. By the way, Ms. Shiverton is also the chair of this committee, Code of Ethics Committee, which she deserves another round of applause for. Other members of the committee include representative of the Christian Council, representative of the Evangelical Association, representative of the Bar Association, or youth representative, Ms. Roma Richardson, the law firm of Johnson & Associates, thank them for their legal input and guidance, all other interested parties who made themselves available for consultation and advice, the organizers of today's ceremony, and the public relations staff of the party secretariat. We want to thank all of the members of the media for their attendance here today, and of course, all the other persons who have come out to this ceremony, to witness this ceremony and support the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party here today. And just in case we forgot anything and forgot anyone, I want to say thanks to all who in any way contributed to the success of this afternoon's ceremony. We in the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, through this ceremony today, we are saying to you, to the public, that we are putting good governance at the forefront in our own organization, signaling that we will do the same in a new Labour administration. Thank you once again to one and all for your attendance today. We are indeed grateful because, you know, it's all about you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.